All right. The deportation standoff sending the U.S. toward a constitutional crisis, and it is. And if there's a bright spot here, this is getting a lot of attention. It's not on the back pages. It's very much the story of the day. Here's Chris Murphy talking about what's at stake here. And he's not right about a lot of things, this fella. I'm not a fan, but he's right about this.
Tell you why the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia should matter to you. This is an individual who came to the United States over 10 years ago. He was given protected status by a court, meaning that he could not be removed back to El Salvador because his life would be in jeopardy if he left. He's got American citizen children, American citizen wife. He's got a job here. Donald Trump ignored that court order and deported him. It was such a brazen violation of the law that the Supreme Court weighed in. In a rare 9-0 ruling, the Supreme Court said that Trump had to bring this individual back to the United States, but he still didn't do it. This is the constitutional crisis. It's the confrontation between the court saying that the president has to bring Abrego Garcia back home and Trump refusing to do it. And why should this matter to you? Because if the president has the power to jail, imprison, to deport anyone, even if they have a legal right to be here as a citizen or through protected status given by the courts, then none of us are safe. Today, it's this El Salvadorian immigrant, but tomorrow it could be you or me. This matters. This matters. This is the one power that we cannot give the President of the United States, the ability to take any of us off the street and imprison us just because the president believes he has the power, a power that he does not have.
Exactly. If the president has that power, what rights do you have?
Right.
You have none. You have no rights. If the president can at any time have you abducted to a foreign prison, you have no rights. Zero. I don't use the term, Mike Nellis, I don't use the term lightly, but Trump outright refusing the Supreme Court's order to bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia home, I'm going to add that in, I think he missed it, is an actual constitutional crisis. Yes, it is. Bernie Sanders, again, we're not fans, but he's right about this. In defiance of the Supreme Court and without any evidence, the White House claims that Garcia is a terrorist who was sent to the right place. This is a blatant lie. He is innocent. He cannot be allowed to rot in an El Salvadoran jail. He must be brought home. You know how seriously I take this? I missed the opportunity to imitate Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
In this clip. I don't feel it's appropriate. So here's Jon Stewart commenting on this a little bit with some of the clip that we saw earlier of Trump proposing to do this to Americans.
That you're open to deporting individuals that aren't foreign aliens, but are criminals to El Salvador. Does that include potentially U.S. citizens, fully naturalized Americans?
If it's a homegrown criminal, I have no problem. I'm talking about really bad people. Really bad people.
He's going to do that to U.S. citizens. I think the hosts of The View are about to get administratively errored. I got to tell you, I did not think he would get this authoritarian this fast. I really didn't. I'm sorry. Who could have known? Maybe if somebody out there had yelled at me on Blue Sky about this, I would have known. But no one did, except every day. In all caps.
Yep, I'll give it to the Pod Save crowd I interviewed. They said that was going to happen. I laughed at them. So here's Texas Rep. Joaquin Castro commenting on the case.
His story and his fate are a cautionary tale for every single American. If this administration will start to strip away the constitutional rights of people who have the right to be in this country, they will start with the people who are vulnerable, whom they can paint as undesirable, even if they lie about that, and they will slowly move on to other folks.
Exactly. This is why you should care. Even if you're very excited to see these immigrants getting deported because now tomorrow a guy will be able to raise his whole family on one salary, and it's going to be 1957 all over again. Even if you believe that, you should care, because what's it worth if you live in a country where if you say something out of line at work, maybe it gets reported, maybe you get questioned, maybe you wind up in CCOT yourself.
Yeah, and I will just add one quick thing. If you are happy to see this happen to these immigrants, you're a worthless piece of irredeemable shit. Right away. Right away. I don't care what your, did you think about what'll happen? What about when it happens to you? When it happens to you, you'll fucking deserve it if you like what's happening now.
But not us.
Oh, well, that's why, obviously present company excluded. I'm just saying, if you take pleasure in this, then, good when it happens to you. That's what I say.
Yeah. So this is Senator Chris Van Hollen, who is saying he's going to put his safety where his mouth is, potentially.
Comments of President Bukele, and I look forward to meeting with him. I've requested to meet with him. I reached out to the ambassador here to ask to meet while he's here. But I've also made clear if we can't meet here, I do intend to go to El Salvador to discuss the release of this individual who is illegally detained, a Maryland man who's the father of 3 in a notorious prison in El Salvador. And I believe the president of El Salvador will recognize why it's important to allow him to return to the United States of America, because it is absolutely unjust and illegal to have this Marylander detained one more day in a notorious prison in El Salvador. Of course, President Trump could have just said, bring him home. Of course he could have done that. But this is an administration that has lied about Mr. Abrego Garcia, right? The vice president of the United States tweeted out that he had a criminal record. That was a lie. They're just lying. They've gotten caught lying. They don't want to admit it. And they have an obligation to bring him home. But I will say the president of El Salvador should not now take it upon himself to say that he is detaining him for one more day, because that is kidnapping. I understand that the Attorney General said that we would provide a plane to bring him home. So all the president of El Salvador has to do now is hand over and release an innocent man and let him come home to his family.
Okay. So we haven't seen a congressman take this kind of a chance in South America since Jim Jones, and that didn't end well.
Yeah.
Hopefully Bukele's not handing out Kool-Aid to the population yet. But it sounds like he's serious about it. It doesn't sound like he's just grandstanding. At that point, if a U.S. congressperson actually goes to El Salvador, what happens? If I had to guess with this crew, Bukele refuses to meet with him and they tell him to go get his fucking shine box. If I had to guess, that's what's going to happen. But all credit to him if he's going to do it, and it looks like he will.
Yeah, that's an actual act of leadership, is to say, you know what, I'm this guy's senator, so I'm going to go down there and demand him back in person. And, I suspect it'll unfold exactly as you do. And as for, why they're not giving him back, yes, of course, he could just say, we need him back. There's a number of reasons why
they don't want to concede the principle.
They don't want to concede the principle. They don't want him to talk about the conditions there, I'm sure, or something else. But also, they don't want to limit this action to violent gang members. They want to be able to do this to essentially whoever they want to. And so in their minds, this may have been technically a mistake in the sense that they got out ahead of their skis a little bit, but was it really a mistake, big picture? No, because they don't just intend to do this to violent gang members. They intend to be able to do this with anybody who's either in the country illegally or who protests against Israel. This could be something that they are not acting in a way that suggests that any interpretation of what they're doing or intend to do is hyperbolic. Like, they're not acting in a way that makes you say, well, no, I don't think they would do that. Right? There are certain people where you look at them and you say, there's nothing they wouldn't do. There's nothing they wouldn't do. And this is that. This is it. This is that crew. If they would do this to this guy, if they would do this to this guy, where you see the reporters ask them, and one after the other, from Trump to Bondi to Rubio to Miller to Bukele himself, one after the other, just brazenly lie about who this man is, an innocent man, brazenly lie about who he is, in defiance of a unanimous Supreme Court order to bring him back, then there's nothing they wouldn't do. Nothing they wouldn't do.
Exactly. Exactly. Because you're talking about people who are so psychopathic that they would do this to this man, continue to lie about him. Any normal person would say, oh my God, that's terrible. It was an accident. Yes, please bring him back.
Right.
What kind of people not only don't say that, but fight to keep a man that, let's be real, they know he's not an MS-13.
Of course they know. Yeah.
And to them, this man's life is nothing. If his life is nothing to them, so is yours. So is yours. They let you come to Madison Square Garden and clap like an idiot for Elon. Sure, they'll take your praise and your adoration, and they'll cut your throat the second you become inconvenient. They don't give a shit about you. Look at North Carolina.
Right.
Look at North Carolina. Trump used those people as props, lined them up in front of microphones, and just cut their FEMA funding. Just refused to extend their FEMA funding. That is how much you mean to them. Nothing. You're garbage. You're peasants. They want to, maybe we'll cover this Thursday. Naomi Klein, with a co-author, just dropped a really interesting article in The Guardian about how these guys are taking what she calls the shock doctrine, essentially where the capitalists come in and take advantage of a disaster. And she's arguing they're creating the disaster. And what these people like Vance, like Thiel, what this whole crew has been working towards is to create these libertarian zones where there is no legal restraint on the power of people like them. And the peasants just work for them at will, to the extent that they need peasants at all. A lot of the work gets done by robots, AI. They get to live in this paradise, and everyone else can just die. This is what I keep telling people. They want you dead. They want you dead. At best, they're indifferent to you dying, and at worst, it's part of the plan. They have no interest in preserving and enhancing the lives of people who are not of their class. Anything they say in that direction is a ruse, because they feel like they still need your acquiescence.
Please clap.